Welcome back to Treasures Galore. My name is Michael Elder, and I originally started this YouTube channel going over Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt and went over his memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, looking for clues and hints that helped us decipher his poem, which Forrest Fenn said would lead us directly to his treasure. However, in 2020, a man by the name of Jack Stoof uh, reportedly found it, and the chase ended. So I had no real reason to continue making videos on the hunt. Some other YouTubers continued and made videos and followed it. After the box was found and Jack was named the finder, I pretty much dipped out. I did not follow the chase really and what was going on. I know there was a lot of drama that ensued and a lot of speculation. Apparently, Forrest Fenn said sent out emails to friends and Dal saying he wanted to end the chase. The family was absolutely tired of it, which I do not blame them at all. And then add in all the deaths of the searchers. And so there's a lot of speculation that Forrest Fenn ended the hunt. I do not believe that was the case. I think Jack is the finder. I think he found the general area. I think Forrest Fenn slipped up. On some interview or something, Forrest Fenn slipped up and Jack knew the general area and then he just grid searched that thing to death. So I do think Jack is the finder. I think it was legitimate. I don't think Forrest Fenn ended the chase. That's just my opinion. And honestly, I really don't know much about the ending or anything like that. But that's just my 2 cents. I think it was legit. I don't think Forrest Fenn ended the chase. And I think he would have probably picked someone different other than Jack if he did want to. But that's just my 2 cents. Anyways, congratulations to Jack on finding the treasure chest, and honestly the way he went about it, trying to keep anonymous, and the way he went about it, staying kind of in the shadows and not really releasing the solve and all that, like, I really don't blame him. His lawyer probably advised him not to give up the location. Apparently it looks like it was found in Yellowstone, which I thought of all along. I always thought it was in Montana or Wyoming. But just the general area, I do not believe it was found in 9 Mile Hole. I really do not. Just the way, there was a solution posted about uh, the fire hole, the Madison Junction, and this and that. I just don't see that being the solve. And it might be confirmation bias and just my own personal beliefs on why I believe that, but it just seems too simple. For a chest to go hidden for 10 years, it just seems too simple. But anyways, enough about the Forrest Fenn hunt. Congratulations to Jack. That treasure hunt is over. And so now I'm excited about this new treasure hunt. There's Treasure Inside by Jon Collins Black. Just a few things about this treasure hunt. If you guys don't know, most of you guys listening probably are really familiar with this hunt already. If you're not, Jon Collins Black hid 5 treasures across the United States. His idea was that the Forrest Fenn hunt was just in the Rocky Mountains. He wanted to create a treasure hunt that was spread out, so where one treasured chest was probably in somewhat close vicinity of where you live. There's 4 smaller boxes, which he said the dollar amount is comfortably in the 6 figures, and then 1 lion's share box hidden somewhere within the United States. No 2 boxes are in one state. The contents of each box are pretty much unknown. Throughout the book, he does specifically say this treasure or this treasure piece is in this treasure box. But other than that, we really don't know exactly what's in each. He does list a whole bunch of things that are in there: gold coins, bars, rare gems, physical Bitcoin, Pokemon cards, Michael Jordan rookie card, famous pieces by Jackie Onassis, and a whole bunch of other ones. Excuse me. So, all you need to find these treasures are in his book. They're treasures inside. He did say he left a clue or two in his children's book that he published this year. I think it's called An Unbreakable Thread or An Unbreakable Bond or something along those lines. This hunt took him 5 years, almost 5 years to complete. There is no proxy. He did say that there is treasure in those, but he did also leave an incentive for you to find them, or to let him know that you have found the chest. He said he would make an NFT, a non-fungible token. I believe that's what that stands for. But he didn't know what reputable NFT website or whatever. I don't really know too much about NFTs, but he didn't know what would be out there the time you find the chest. So that is kind of a bonus. When you find the chest, he'll make a NFT for you, which is like a digital ownership of the chest. He also said the chests are not on private property, they're not buried, they're in a relatively safe space. You also don't need to search in the wintertime when there's snow on the ground. I think that's a hint that you're probably going to have a hard time finding these chests in the snow. So they're probably hidden on the ground somewhere, probably, I would imagine, beneath a tree, under a rock, in a rock like outcropping maybe. I don't know. Something along those lines where the snow would hinder you from finding the chest unless you had a metal detector. He said you don't need any special equipment, so that means metal detectors, no boats, rafts, anything of the sort. Your hike shouldn't take more than a couple of hours, and it is not more than 3 miles off of a road. So there is a promotional video that had like regions of where the treasure chests were hidden that was posted by his PR team on the History for Weirdos interview that he did. He said that is not accurate, that was just a promotional thing, so we cannot go off of those regions. He said that there is a laminated clue in each of the small treasure boxes to help you find the lion's share box. So that's pretty much the basics of this hunt. You need his book, you need to read it, and he tells you to read it slowly, indulge in it, and look for anything that makes your spidey sense tingle. And then in future videos, I'll go over the book. I think it's interesting. In almost pretty much each chapter in part 1, he gives a paragraph about the treasure, whether what to look for, how to solve it, and then, steps to figuring this thing out, which I thought was really interesting. So I will make a future video going over all of that. I mean, this book is a pretty good read. He's a good writer. I really did enjoy it. So the book's broken out in between part 1 and part 2. He says that he wanted to do that because starting this treasure hunt, he had a hard time trying to decide how to hide the clues to where you knew what clue led to which chest. So he made 4 individual chapters for the 4 small treasure boxes, and then the rest of the book is for the lion's share. Now I have a question whether the lion's share or like the first part of the book has anything that could help you with the second part of the book, or whether, like, let's say you're searching for the Forrest Fenn box. is there anything in part one that could help you solve the poem? Or is it just that one chapter has everything you need? That's a question I have. I know there's different opinions on the subject. I think we will find out more once he releases the ebooks. If the Forrest Fenn chapter, like let's say you want to buy the Forrest Fenn chapter to find that box, if it does come along with the rest of the book. So, just a thought. In my opinion, I don't think there's anything that could beat the Forrest Fenn hunt. Just all the mystery surrounding even just Forrest Fenn. Is he D.B. Cooper? And his whole history of his life from Vietnam and then being and starting a world-renowned, art dealership in Santa Fe, and just his whole life, like working for the CIA, and his house getting raided by the FBI a year before he created the hunt. I mean, there's so much about Forrest Fenn that was just absolutely crazy, and then him releasing this treasure hunt when he turns 80. I mean, it was crazy. And then all the mystery and then the death surrounding it and then the ending especially. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to beat Forrest Fenn's hunt. But I do thank Jon Collins Black for doing this. It is much needed for the Forrest Fenn community. And just reading Discord and Facebook, I mean, it's bringing a lot of new people into treasure hunting, which I think is really awesome. But I do have a few questions and a few thoughts on this, and I hope you do not take this wrong. This is not criticism. This is simply questions that I have. So K-Pro and Calazars did an interview with JCB, and K-Pro asked if the plan was to release the solve and the location once the treasure was found. JCB said, yes, that's the plan. So my question is did Jon Collins Black, did he meet up with lawyers about the legalities of where he hid the boxes? Forrest Fenn made a huge deal out of him spending a lot of money trying to figure out the legality of everything, whether it was hidden on BLM or National Park or even private property. Now, JCB says it's not hidden on private property, but did he meet with lawyers? I mean, how much did he go into the legality of you finding these treasure boxes? And then not on top on top of that is, the taxes associated with them, because there's a lot of stuff that happened between Jack Stoof and Forrest about the ownership and taxes and all of that. So, did Jack meet up with lawyers? That's one question. My next question is, JCB said there's no proxies. There is an incentive to let them know, but there's no proxies. But hiding valuable things in the elements is something, it's hard to fathom, especially what JCB hid in his treasure boxes, like, for example, rare Pokemon cards or a Michael Jordan rookie card. I mean, even humidity can hurt these cards, let alone snow and rain. How well are these boxes waterproof? What did he ensure? What steps did he do to make sure that none of the treasures are going to be damaged? So I have a hard time believing that he left these cards out in the weather, or maybe he excluded them, and that's the incentive for you to tell him, is that you get something like that in return. Or he hid half of the treasure in the box and you get the other half when you tell him it's found. There's some sort of incentive for you to say that you found it. Number one, so people don't keep searching for it. So there is that. Did he leave all of the treasure out there, or did he not? What is the incentive that he left? That's a question that I have as well. Next question is, how close can the book get us to these treasures? He does say in his book that it gets you in a close area, but you have to go boots on the ground and search for it. He also says in the History for Weirdos interview that he suggests doing a grid pattern. But from searching for Forrest Finn's treasure, I know that you can be on your computer looking at Google Earth and you're like, okay, this is the area I'm going to search. You go out there and you realize that, oh, wow, this is a lot bigger than I thought. Finding a treasure box is going to be a lot more difficult than I thought it was sitting at my computer. So how close can the book get us to these treasures? Forrest Finn, he said that his poem will lead you directly to his box. So, if you have to do a grid pattern, I mean, how long is that going to take you to find these little tiny treasure chests? I'm just saying, I'm hoping that there's clues and hints that get you really close to where you're not going to have to spend years doing a grid search to find these. My next question, and please do not take this the wrong way, but what was Jon Collins Black incentive to do this treasure hunt? Now, he says, that he got inspiration from Forrest Finn and he wanted to get people out and he gets joy from doing this. But is there another motive on doing this? I mean, it takes a lot of faith for us to believe that this guy actually bought all this stuff and then actually hid the treasure chest and made it to where you can actually find them. I mean, it takes a lot of faith to do that. But you also have to look at, what is, like, why did he do this? What's his incentive? Forrest Finn didn't make any money off the treasure hunt. All the book sales went to the bookstore in Santa Fe, and then the rest went the Too Far to Walk book and Once Upon a While, I believe, went to his kids and grandkids or whatever. And so JCB is making money off of this. In the History for Weirdos, he said you're not going to make money off a treasure hunt, but I just heard that an additional 100,000 copies were ordered, and then plus you got to add in the ebooks that are coming out. I mean, that's a lot of money. Not saying he will make his money back, but he will make probably a significant amount back, I'm sure. The way he's pushing this treasure hunt with his PR team and getting it out there in the mainstream, is something to be admired. He's really pushing for this book. And so, just doing the math on 100,000 copies. And then also there was talks of a reality TV show, Did Jon Collins Black do this treasure hunt to gain fortune, or not really fortune, but fame? Is he buying his way to get his 15 minutes? Something to think about. And I am not criticizing Jon Collins Black at all, but I'm just saying, was that a part of why he did this treasure hunt? Was to gain fame? I don't know. Maybe we will never know. But I read something interesting in his book. It's on page 113, and it made me think about him. It's in the chapter chapter 12 called Massive Gold Rush Nugget. And it talks about a guy named Sam Brannan. So during the gold rush in California, this smart guy figured out fast that selling shovels was a hell of a lot easier than digging with them, and a lot more profitable too. So the book states, Brannan created a newspaper called the California Star in which he relentlessly promoted the gold rush to anyone who could read. He then set up a series of supply shops where he sold mining supplies to prospectors at high markups, and he made a fortune. Sam Brannan became California's very first millionaire without ever discovering one single fleck of gold. So, just makes me think, of Jon Collins Black. Promoting it and then probably almost making his money back while gaining fame. I mean, even a reality TV show, that's pretty crazy. And again, I'm not criticizing. I'm just asking, because you also have to think of how hard did he make this treasure hunt? Is it going to be possible to find it, or did he make it so hard where he would sell a whole bunch of books and then release clues later to where he made a certain amount of money back to where it can be found now? Just a thought. Again, no criticism. I love what he did, and I'm excited to go look for these treasures. But you always have to ask questions about these things. We are putting a lot of trust into him and buying the book and going out and looking for something that, we may or may not find. I do believe it is real. I believe that he did hide 5 boxes out there, and I hope that there is no alternative motive for this treasure hunt. So, anyways, enough with that. Again, no criticism. I think from what I can see, he's a good guy, and it's all legit. And I don't think he's doing it for motives other than just trying to get people outside. But it just makes you think, the way he's promoting and stuff like that. Is he trying to gain fame? Okay, so let's move into my next question is part 1 and part 2. I may have went over this. I really hope that there are clues and hints that help you with part 2 that are in part 1. Just reading the Forrest Fenn chapter, I have a hard time believing that you're going to be able to solve that poem if there's not something in part 1. I mean, Forrest Fenn's poem took 10 years to solve, and I don't even know if it was solved, and there was countless memoirs and stuff, and it was just, there was so much out there, and it took so long, and JCB's poem is pretty similar to Forrest, so hopefully there's other stuff to help you figure that out. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I do want to go over a little bit of the book before I get off of here, though. So in part 2, there's 4 smaller boxes. The Forrest Fenn box, which I'm currently trying to solve. And then you got the Appalachian Trail, and then you got the Past and Future and Pokemon box. So he did release a map, a treasure map in here of the Appalachian Trail. Smart people have figured I don't know if they figured it out, but they found a part of the trail that matches the Appalachian Trail in Vermont. So did JCB make it that obvious? Maybe, I don't know. But so he released a treasure map, but I think he released pretty much 2 other ones. So in the Forrest Fenn hunt, he said, let's say the Forrest Fenn chapter, he said that he was a searcher from 2016 to 2020. Let me bring up the chapter real quick. And he spent months in the Rocky Mountains and was a full-time searcher for a year, and then part-time for the rest. And so he said he dove in, he read his memoir, looked over years of archived treasure hunt blog posts and chat room discussions, zoomed in on Google Earth images, pored over physical maps, watched every moment of Forrest Fenn interviews he could find, read Forrest Fenn online Q&As and other books he had mentioned in the memoir. So being that involved in the Forrest Fenn hunt and going over everything, I can't imagine that he would search outside of Forrest Fenn's search area or his treasure map, which he released in his book, Too Far to Walk. So I believe that JCB's Forrest Fenn box is hidden somewhere on this map. So in that chapter, I thought it was interesting that JCB says they told the story of a man named Forrest Fenn, an art and collectibles dealer from Santa Fe, Arizona. So I thought that was interesting. It's been talked about a lot. A guy that was that involved in the Forrest Fenn hunt would obviously know that he was from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I looked it up. There is no Santa Fe, Arizona. So I don't think that's a typo. I believe that is either a red herring or a possible hint of some kind. Whether it be, is there an anagram or something to do with the alphabet, A to Z, or is it hidden close to Arizona or the New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado border, somewhere along there? Who knows? But just saying that I do believe this is another treasure map that we should look over. I believe that is hidden somewhere in here. A man being that involved in going over everything would not have searched out of the area that Forrest Fenn told us. So I believe we can conclude that it's somewhere on this treasure map. So the next treasure map, I believe there's kind of three. So in the Pokemon chapter, I haven't went over this too much, but he tells us that the treasure is hidden somewhere along the trip that their family took from North Carolina to Houston, Texas. And then it was circular, and then they went back through the Ozarks. So he said it was hidden somewhere along that trip. And he talks about camping and all that stuff. So I believe it's probably hidden in one of these states: North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. So somewhere along there. That is a huge part. I mean, that's a lot of states to go through, but at least you have it narrowed down some to where you can look at. I'm sure there's more hints and clues about what state and stuff like that in the chapter. I haven't dived through it too much, but somewhere along that route, he hid that treasure. So we have them narrowed down. The Appalachian Trail is, I think it goes through 14 states, he believes, or he states in his book, which is very long. But one last thing. So I'm going to make a lot of videos going over the book, but this is the last thing I want to leave with you, is on the Appalachian Footpath box. He talks about the Appalachian Trail goes through 14 states. It's 2,000 miles of public land, he says. It's the longest hiking trail in the world. And so he says it starts at Springer Mountain, Georgia, which I think is interesting because on the Appalachian Trail map, it says begin here, and there's a picture of a dog right where it starts. And that dog, I believe, is a Springer Spaniel. So he says it starts at Springer Mountain, Georgia, and then there's a picture of a Springer Spaniel at the beginning. So I just thought that was interesting. Is the start where you start out in Georgia? What's the scale of that map? I really do not think that he would make it that obvious to where it would match Vermont, but maybe it is. I don't know. And from a marketing standpoint, and the way he put clues in the smaller boxes, I mean, it makes you think that at least 1 to 2 of these smaller boxes are going to be relatively easy to find. Easier than the lion's share, else you wouldn't have put the laminated clues in the smaller boxes. Also, you have 1 or 2 smaller boxes found. All that's going to do is increase your book sales, because now every Joe Schmo is going to be like, wow, this guy solved it. He found it. It's real treasure. Now I'm going to go buy the book and I'm going to find one. So as a marketing standpoint, it makes sense that at least 1 or 2 of these smaller boxes are going to be relatively easy to find. So maybe it is on this path. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of different markings and stuff like that on here. But you know, makes you think one or two of those are easy. So we will see when they are found. But I believe that the lion's share box will probably not be found for a while, I believe. And he always has the option to release hence later. So, anyways, in my next video, I am going to go over the book and go over the chapters. He says some interesting stuff in each of the chapters that I want to go over. And so my next video will go over that, and then I will go over each 4 chapters in part 2 and all that. So, anyways, I appreciate it, guys. Like, subscribe, and if you want to get a hold of me, my email address is treasuresgalore999 at yahoo.com. Or leave a comment, but please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video.